Comprehensive manga, Pok É mon+Kexue world, no CP, cool writing does not harm he, the protagonist mixed water and wine, with a red side in his heart, but he did not brainlessly suppress the black side. Yuan woke up to find himself in a strange place, and the accompanying system 001 indicated that he had traveled to the fusion world of Pok É Mon and Ko Xue. In order to survive in this dangerous world, the system loads his Pok É Mon game account that he has played for many years, and the Pok É Mon and props inside can be accessed freely. Yuan looked at his full-level Pok É Mon and several props. Deal. Qinjiu. These three guys are here to help you Whiskey Group. Alert JPG-GUN, Pupil Earthquake. Help, is this timeline a bit early? P.S. The author's mind is wide open. Don't be overly particular, happiness is the most important thing. In short, real wine cannot be considered real wine, it can only be made as a mixed water wine. Attention. The author likes most of the characters in Conan's world, both red and black, and hopes that their portrayal will have a beautiful ending that belongs to this work. Chapter 1. Journey Through Time. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Say it again, where am I now? Yuan asked again with a complicated expression as he stared at the light ball claiming to be System 001 on the bed. He still couldn't believe that one day, the magical thing of traveling through time would happen to him. Due to the high crime rate in the world of Qinjiu, the world is about to be destroyed. In order to balance the world, we can only allow the relatively safe Pok É Mon world to merge. System 001 strangely paused for a moment, and then due to the negligence of world consciousness, we accidentally pulled you in. Now, you are located at number 23, 2.Chom, Neon Tokyo, in the Qinjiu Pok É Mon world. Isn't this address near the Kudo Shinichi family? Yuan, who has been chasing after Detective Conan since elementary school, exclaimed in his heart. He was originally an ordinary college student who grew flowers, but after sleeping in a rented room, he woke up to this unfamiliar place. Then the System 001 suddenly appeared in front of him, bombarding his brain with information. As he had just woken up, he still felt his brain buzzing. Woo-woo. Before Yuan could react, System 001 on the side started crying. A ball of light-emitting water droplets, no, tears, looks a bit pitiful. Wait, I haven't cried yet. What are you crying about, and I haven't said anything yet? Yuan was even bigger than his head. Don't cry, tell me about the current situation. If you can't go back, you can't go back. I can still eat you. To be honest, Yuan doesn't have much attachment to going back, and he doesn't have any worries about coming from a welfare institution. And judging from the appearance of this system, I know it's impossible to go back. How about throwing it back directly, and there's no need to cry here. Oh, you're so kind, host. System 001 tried hard to stop tears and was moved. Just now, it really thought it was going to be disliked by the host and then recycled and scrapped, afraid. Due to the negligence of the world consciousness, it brought the host into this world, and the world consciousness will compensate you for it, allowing you to live a normal life in a different world. The system explains, the host can think of it as if they have gone abroad, just like living in a different country. It actually sounds good, after all, both Conan and Pok É Mon are his favorite fans. What if I don't understand neon language? Daily life can be very difficult, right? Yuan pondered for a moment and asked. The inevitable problem of time travel is language barrier. Going out for communication relies entirely on gestures, and thinking about it leads to social death. There's no problem with this. 001 has already loaded the skill Neon Language Max for the host, and now the host doesn't have to worry about language issues when going out. The system's light ball flashed and invited the host. This is amazing, Yuan's eyes lit up. He had been learning a foreign language for many years and was deeply affected. Now he can solve it all in one go. I feel a bit itchy in my heart. When will the system load an English skill max again, so that he can experience the feeling of being a top student? My daily life is fine, but the world of Ko Xue is so dangerous and the crime rate is particularly high. How can I ensure my personal safety? The next point is the key. Yuan is not foolish, and without some golden fingers, he may soon become cannon fodder under 8 eggs. And what do you say about the safety of Pok É Mon world? Don't think I don't understand. If you come across any Pok É Mon outside now, you can knock me down, okay? Yuan understood in his heart that he was not a super newcomer, and he would definitely feel cool at a voltage of 100,000 volts. This system looks very deceptive, we need to fight for more compensation for our time travel. This 001 is ready for the host. The Pok É Mon game you played before has already been loaded. As long as you silently open the warehouse, you can retrieve Pok É Mon at any time. The host can use them to protect themselves. System 001 quickly explained, there are still many functions in the system that can be used, come and take a look. The introduction of the system heard Yuan's heart pounding. He had been playing Pok É Mon games for several years, with countless equipment in his backpack and Pok É Mon in his warehouse. Although the levels of Pok É Mon vary, it is still possible to obtain dozens of full-level Pok É Mon. Yuan's heart was filled with enthusiasm, and now he had no worries at all. With his own full-level account in hand, he was not afraid even if Qinjiu came to pinbao Kameng. Unable to wait, he immediately opened the system repository to check, and a light screen that only he could see lit up. Upon closer inspection, the layout inside was similar to that of the game. However, due to the convenience of purchasing evolutionary stones in the game at that time, and in order to save backpack space, the inventory of props is not very high now. Yuan regretted not saving a little more at the time, and selling it now would definitely not be cheap. But who would have thought that one day they would travel without further hesitation? He opened the system store and looked at it. It felt like a complete version of the Pok É Mon store, with tree fruits inside. Go down to the skill machine and have everything you need. However, system, what are the points on this? Yuan asked. 10 caddies of orange fruit with 1 point, 1 fire stone with 100 points, and so on. Only points can be used to purchase products in the system store, and points need to be obtained by completing tasks. How can I check how many points I have? The host silently recites the identity panel to view it. Yuan thought silently in his heart, and indeed, the screen flickered before his eyes, and a string of information bars appeared in place of the system store. Name. Yuan, male, points. 0 identity. Pok É Mon expert / Heaven Pok É Mon store manager / Hidden identity. Leader of the Black Organization Pok É Mon Research Group, code name. Armagnac, what? Wait. Is there something wrong with it? System, could you explain to me what the situation is with this hidden identity? Yuan said in pain. Points and the like are no longer important. Yuan pointed at this line and pointed it at the system, because this thing has turned his daily life into a criminal life. Hey. This is to increase the diversity of the host's life, with randomly arranged identities, and interacting with the main characters will stimulate more tasks. The more points you earn, the more things the host can buy. The system explained hesitantly. No need, Yuan said coldly. He only wants to live his ordinary life in a different world behind the red side. Even though he is now confident that he can win against the Qinjiu Pok É Mon, this is not a reason for him to give up. He had the combat power of the 5 scumbags in the main battle, and with a single shot of the bow / Leda in his hand, Qinjiu sent himself away. Host. Please listen to 001, the system shook the sound. Do you have any reason to say it? Yuan wanted to see what it could persuade him with. Does the host like Pok É Mon? Well, I like it, Yuan nodded and said. After all, I have been following all the Pokémon anime and playing Pokémon games for several years. So does Conan like it? Well, I also like it, Yuan continued nodding. Of course, I also really like it. I am still following over 1,000 episodes. That's it. Since the hosts all like it, now that we have the opportunity to experience it up close, don't the hosts really want to experience it? The system sincerely suggests to the host, but it is also very anxious, afraid that the host will recycle it in anger. Chapter 2. Travelers also need to go to work. You are listening at novelfull.audio. It seems reasonable. Yuan pondered, but I still think it's too risky. After all, life safety is the top priority. Yuan still needs to fight for some chips for himself. There are not too many ways to save his life here. Looking at the terrifying mortality rate of Conan World, Yuan silently decided to persevere. Don't worry, host. I-001 will definitely protect you. If 001 had arms, she would definitely slap her chest as a guarantee. Host and System 001 are bound together, and without Host 001, they will be scrapped, so 001 will definitely protect the host. Upon hearing this, Yuan's eyes lit up. If it were true as the system said, the two would coexist, then he would feel even more at ease. But how can you protect me like a little light ball? Yuan pretended to be moved but asked with confusion. 001 saw Yuan's relaxed attitude and quickly continued to explain, the system itself comes with a program that can release invincible shields for 1 second in critical moments, and the host's points can also be purchased as protective items in the system store. With strength and security, Yuan felt that he could almost relax his grip. No matter how difficult the situation was, the system would have no better solution, and it would be an awkward situation for both, which would be detrimental to him. I see, then 001 will ask you to protect me. Pack it on 001, host. Watching the system flickering with excitement, Yuan had a plan in mind. As the saying goes, the result of mutual satisfaction is mutual victory, which is a win-win cooperation. Next, let's learn more about Pokémon. In the dazzling Pokémon, Yuan picked a Pokémon that was neither high nor low in level but very suitable for the current appearance. With a movement of his mind, a red and white elf ball appeared in his hand. Oh, really there, the legendary Pokémon ball. The smooth and cold touch in his hands only gave Yuan a sense of reality of time travel now. Come out, Sun IB. A silver light flashed through, with hair and eyes all in a pale purple color. The ruby on the forehead appeared in front of Yuan, like a shining Pokémon. Joey, as Pokémon appeared, the system panel that had just disappeared reappeared. Sun IBU level 50 attribute. Superpower gender. Male feature. Synchronous, infecting one's poisoned, paralyzed, or burned state to the opponent, basic moves. Mindfulness, desire, help, cry, collision, tail shake, bite, imitation, takeover, crash, coquettishness, sacrifice charge, sand splashing, flash of electric light, round eyes, high-speed stars, illusionary light, morning light, power exchange, spiritual strength, self-suggestion, anticipating the future genetic moves. See-through teach moves. Hold, pray for rain, great sound, Iron-tail Yuan couldn't help but brighten his eyes. This is what a golden finger should look like. Now, we can have a full view of the information between the enemy and ourselves, and the confidence in the victory of the battle is even greater. Jio, Sun IBU softly called and rubbed against the back of Yuan's hand. Sun IBU is a Pokémon that requires an intimacy level of 220 to evolve, and it already has a very close relationship with Chihara. It feels like a cat. Yuan reached out and gently touched the fur on the top of Sun IBU's head. Well, the soft and smooth feel is excellent. Let's go, start a new life from now on. Leaving the bedroom and walking down the stairs, Yuan was slightly surprised by the luxurious level of the house he is currently living in. The double-decker luxury villa with its beautiful courtyard truly gave him a feeling of being a wealthy person. The most magical thing is that Yuan was full of familiarity with all of this. The location of the room and the arrangement of objects did not feel any sense of abruptness when he first came here. If it weren't for his clear mind, he would really think that this is his native world. Bang! Just as he walked out of the house not too far away, there was a loud noise in his ear that startled Yuan. Cough, cough. A chubby old man in a white coat coughed and ran out of the smoke. Yuan looked at the familiar scene and the familiar old man. Isn't this Dr. Ashikaga, the neighbor of Kudo Shinichi? The system has already loaded the identity settings for Yuan. He just needs to follow his inner freedom and the system will automatically handle any problems. Good morning, Dr. Ashikaga, it seems that your invention is having problems again, Yuan said naturally. It's Xiao Yuan, it seems like there's a wiring problem, I don't know where it went wrong. Dr. Ashi scratched his head awkwardly, I made you laugh again, no, was the explosion just a wiring issue? Before seeing this scene, Yuan really thought it was someone engaging in a Pok É Mon battle outside. You still need to pay attention to safety, the body is the capital of revolution. Of course, this was just a small mistake, Dr. Aguri agreed with a guilty pat of dust on his body. It's getting late, so it seems like Xiao Yuan, you're going to the store, right? Seeing Dr. Ashikaga shift the topic, Yuan didn't say much, yeah, it's time to make a monthly appointment to pick Pok É Mon, and I don't know which child to choose today. This is also one of the tasks released by the system. To help children choose their initial Pok É Mon. The task reward is 5 points, which feels surprisingly rare, Yuan thought to himself. That's a very important matter, hurry up and don't delay. Well, doctor, you also pay attention to safety. Under the urging of Dr. Ashikaga, Yuan continued to embark on the road to work. Watching the system provide the address of his store, Yuan couldn't help but sigh in his heart. It seems that this location is also on the same street as the Maori detective office. Is it really not a problem for him to be so close to the Grim Reaper? Feeling troubled, Yuan saw the sign of Heavenly Pok É Mon from a distance, with a bright red sign hanging high and super eye-catching. At the sight of the red sign hanging, he couldn't help but feel an official feeling. Actually, it's the official one, and the system settings have specially obtained official certification for the host, the mischievous voice of the system echoed in my mind. Thank you for your system. Although Yuan wanted to say this, he swallowed it when he saw that the Maori detective office was only a few tens of meters away from his store. Yuan. I have a few uncivilized words that I don't know how to speak properly. Pushing open the store door, the area inside was surprisingly large, and the staff had already started today's work. Good morning, store manager. Hello, store manager. As soon as everyone entered, they greeted Yuan and he nodded in response one by one. It's still early and there aren't many customers yet. Yuan walked straight to the Pokemon consultation window. Naomi, how many Pokemon people are available for appointment selection today? There are 2 people, the store manager. Yesterday, the committee allocated 2 more initial Pokemon for our store, namely Walking Grass and Lada, said Naomi Komatsu, the manager of the Pokemon service area, in a hurry. In this world of learning and Pokemon are not as easy to obtain as in anime. The world has also established an official Pokemon committee, but the benefits it sets are far from as good as those in Pokemon anime. People's understanding of Pokemon is relatively backward, and the Pokemon committee's cultivation of Pokemon is also lagging behind. Therefore, even though the committee has set that every child can go to the local official store to receive an initial Pokemon after reaching the age of 12, the only options available are Green Caterpillar, Walking Grass, and Lada. What? Initially, Pokemon wanted to conquer 3 families. You need to pay more. Chapter 3. First Battle Water Test. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Why are these things again? At least we need to give a few waves, and when can the Imperial Sanjia who requested to be transferred last time be transferred? Yuan frowned upon hearing this. Although my own store is the only officially recognized store in Mihua Town, the Pokémon Committee in the central area does not attach much importance to it, and there are very few Pokémon distributed. This is equivalent to the trainer going to Dr. Daimu to collect their initial Pokémon, but Dr. Daimu says there's no more. Isn't that a big problem? Store manager, you are not unaware of the committee's level of stinginess. It would be great if you could give only a sparrow. If you want only a popo, you may have to increase the price, Naomi Komatsu said helplessly. Naomi Komatsu belongs to a family with good living conditions nearby. Back then, there was no official Pokémon store here. In order to choose a better initial Pokémon for her, her parents took her to the Pokémon Committee headquarters in the city center and spent a lot of money to buy a baby dingback. As for our 1-month application to the Imperial 3 families, I have urged them several times midway, and the committee has been delaying until now due to insufficient resources. In a few days, I'll go to headquarters and grab a few more, Yuan sneered as he listened to this reason, then turned around and went to the elevator behind him. Come on, store manager. Komatsu Naomi punched the back of the store manager and quickly picked up his phone to send out messages in the work group. At the same time, the mobile phones of the staff in the store rang simultaneously. Mihua Town Paradise Group Fatty Ding. Great news, great news. The store manager can't help but take action against the committee again. Chuanshan King. Abe Monster. Damn it. It's your first level receiving first-hand news again, Monkey Monster angry. JPG. Fatty Ding. No way, the geographical location is too good, Little Flame Monkey reluctantly stalls. JPG, hunting phoenix butterflies. Don't interrupt the one on the negative level, Naomi, please explain it in detail. Fatty Ding. Just now, the store manager, Brabra. The discussion among the employees behind him, Yuan, is currently unaware. He walked into the elevator and pressed the button on the basement floor. The Heaven Pokémon store is divided into 3 levels. The first level is the artificial service area and the Pokémon food and medicine area. The second level is the Pokémon prop area, and the negative level is the Pokémon training area. Then, through the back door that only staff can enter, there is a greenhouse for storing and nurturing Pokémon inside the store. Overall, this is also the largest Pokémon store in Mihua Town. The supervisor of the first floor, Ito Ryo, was eagerly watching the news in the small group. Although he was the administrator of the first floor, he would still eat melons with everyone when there were no guests. While looking happily, the bell rang from the elevator and Yi Dongliang quickly put away his phone and started working. Store manager. Yi Dongliang looked a bit surprised as he saw the person coming. What's up with coming to the training area so early today? Usually, Yuan rarely comes to the training area and usually notifies Yi Dongliang in advance to prepare for training. There's nothing important, I just want to come over and practice my skills. Ito Ryo and Jihara arrived at the battlefield, and Jihara released the Sun Ibu. Jio, I'll use this little guy today, who will come? Sun Ibu, it's also the first time Yi Dongliang has seen the store manager use it to fight. He picked up the walkie-talkie hanging from his waist and said a few words, but within a minute, someone knocked on the door and entered. I heard the store manager is looking for someone to fight against. Shanai Changli, who had just advanced to the 3rd level Pokémon coach, ran over excitedly. Idong, let me go. Coach Pokémon will receive a prize money from the Pokémon committee for each level of promotion, and the higher the level, the richer the prize money. Yamano Nagari used the bonus and some of his own savings to teach his Pokémon new moves and significantly improve his strength. That's why this battle is so positive, just to show the store manager his progress. Ito Ryo looked at Takata Sagawa behind him. "I have no objection, let's go up the mountains and fields," said Takata Sagawa, a tall and sturdy man who was recently abused by the store manager and doesn't really want to experience it now. Idong Liang nodded and said, "You're the only one going up today, Shanai." Amidst the cheers of Nagari Yamano, a hint of pity flashed in the eyes of Ito Ryo and Takata Sagawa. Yamano Jun was still too young, and the two couldn't help but shake their heads. Jiuen's son Ibrahimovic was the first to enter, and Nagari Yamano excitedly threw the Pok É Mon ball. "Go, King of Chuanshan." King of Chuanshan, level 32 attribute. Ground gender. Male feature. Sand hidden, increases dodge rate in sandstorm weather, basic moves. Tearing claw, scratching, rounding, poison needle, splashing sand, rolling, continuous slash, high-speed spin, heavy treading, high-speed star, random scratching, quicksand hell genetic move. None teach move. Poison strike. Looking at this data, Yuan didn't know what to say. Such a level is already unmatched by many people. This is still the result of Yamano Sagawa's careful training to become a Pok É Mon coach. Except for professions that require Pok É Mon battles, if ordinary Pok É Mon don't come to the training ground for training, their Pok É Mon may never exceed level 20 in their lifetime. Suddenly, Yuan regretted sending son Ibu, as he had already brought only the weaker ones. The son Ibrahimovic at level 50 is against the mountain-piercing king at level 32, isn't this a cruel dish? The match is 1.on.1. When a Bakmeng loses his fighting ability, the match is over. Yi Dongliang, as the referee of the match, explained. On the other side of the audience, Takata Sagawa set up a camera and prepared to shoot the battle between the two. And this camera was specially prepared by them. It connects to all public televisions in the store, ensuring that all colleagues can see this game. Chuanshan King uses Poison Strike. Yamano Nagari launched the attack command first. Kokyu. The king of Chuanshan's claws emitted a strange purple light and quickly attacked the son Ibu. Shanai Changli is still in an excited state, and his king of crossing the mountains has learned a new move called Poison Strike, which greatly improves his combat ability. It's not in vain that he spent a lot of money on this skill CD, and his wallet was emptied, impoverished. The Sun IB, the reflective wall. As soon as the opponent's move was poisoned, Yuan already knew what his plan was. Poison Strike, a poison attribute move that has a 30% chance of poisoning the opponent after hitting. It's just about wanting to trigger a poison state to weaken the enemy first, and then drag it until Pok É Mon's stamina is exhausted. Forget it. Let's play with him. Yuan decided to let him achieve his wish. Let's first open a reflection wall to reduce the damage of physical attacks. A transparent wall shines in front of Sun IB, and within 5 rounds, its physical attack damage will be halved. Immediately, the attack of the king of Chuanshan fell completely on Sun Ibu. Joey. After feeling pain, Sun Ibu shouted softly and jumped away, distancing himself from the king of Chuanshan. Its forked purple tail keeps shaking, which is a signal that it is predicting the opponent's actions. Naomi Komatsu and others on the first floor upstairs were also watching the battle. Why didn't the store manager avoid it? Although opening a reflective wall in place can reduce damage, wouldn't it be more than worth it if you get poisoned? Someone looked at the TV and said in confusion. Yeah, Shanai has been using this trick recently, and his victory rate has increased significantly. No, that's a skill CD he spent 500,000 yuan to buy back. All of a sudden, the topic shifted to the price, and they roast about the various ways that cultivating treasure can burn money. Look. The store manager's son seems to be poisoned. Suddenly, someone pointed to the TV and exclaimed in surprise. Chapter 4. Synchronous Characteristics. You are listening at Novel Full. Audio. What? It's really fake. Everyone turned their heads together to look at the big screen of the TV, and the picture professionally gave Sun Ibu a close up. The sun, which had just gracefully danced, had a painful expression on his face and an ominous purple tinge on his body. He already looks poisoned. Crouching slot. That guy in the mountains and fields is also too lucky, he's lost in his soul. The store manager had a bad start. A few new shop assistants have started to worry about the store manager. Naomi Komatsu held her cheeks in position and had no intention of worrying about the store manager. She is an old employee in the store, and from beginning to end, she has a deep belief in the strength of the store manager. The current situation must be something the store manager is planning. According to Naomi Komatsu's understanding of the store manager, Yamano must have made a mistake in command to succeed. There is no one who can cheat more than the store manager. Yamano was in a miserable situation today, unable to escape due to punishment, Naomi Komatsu thought happily. On the competition field, Yamano Nagari felt his fighting spirit was high, and he achieved his poisoning goal with just one strike, which greatly boosted his confidence. Keep going, king of crossing the mountains. Use heavy treading. Taking advantage of the victory, Shanai Changli takes a heavy step to slow down the speed of the same Ibrahimovic. But what he didn't expect was that the king of Chuanshan couldn't use any moves. Ko Xue. The king of Chuanshan let out a painful scream, and his body turned purple. It's also poisoned. Why? Yamano Nagari couldn't believe the scene in front of him, as there was no move on the opposite side that could poison the mountain-piercing king. Sun Ib, use illusory light. Upon hearing the voice of the store manager, Nagari Yamano quickly regained his senses and issued an order. The king of Chuanshan, quickly avoid it. But the sudden situation made him lose his composure. The Sun Ibrahimovic's movements on the field were very rapid, and a phantom light directly hit the mountain crossing king who had no time to dodge. The smoke gradually dissipated, and the king of Chuanshan lay on the ground with mosquito coils in his eyes, losing his combat ability. The king of Chuanshan lost his combat ability, and Sun Ibu won. Ito Liang reported the result, the winner is the store manager. As soon as the battle ended, Takada Sagawa brought potions to heal the two Pok É Mon on the field. Feed the king of Chuanshan to drink the antidote, and his abnormal poisoning state quickly subsided. Then, a bottle of recovery potion was also fed, and the king of Chuanshan slowly regained consciousness. Is Chuanshan Wang okay? Shanai Changli asked anxiously as he watched Chuanshan Wang slowly wake up after drinking the medicine. Ko Xue, the king of Chuanshan, let out a tired cry, as his injuries were not severe and he could recover with a short rest. Thank you for your hard work. Come back and rest for a while, said Nagari Yamano as he retrieved the Pok É Mon ball from the king of Chuanshan. Then he took a deep breath and it was time to face the store manager. The thought of the store manager looking at him in disappointment made him feel like he was being splashed from head to toe by a basin of ice water. Here, the Sun Ibrahimovic has also regained his health, and Yuan is gently caressing it. Store manager. Shanai Changli, who had been hit, was completely wilted and could no longer stand in front of the store manager. Do you know why your mountain-piercing king is poisoned? Yuan stopped to touch and stood up, directly approaching the theme. Yuan remained skeptical about the world's understanding of Pok É Mon culture. Help! Yamano Nagari shouted in his heart, he had no idea why. Seeing him stuttering and unable to explain the reason, Yuan's expression became even more complex. The trainers here have surprisingly poor mastery of Pok É Mon. In the eyes of Shanai Changli, the store manager's face was getting worse and the pressure on him multiplied. Idong-gu. Takada. Help me quickly. He secretly passed his gaze to the two people next to him. If you don't help him anymore, the store manager really needs to look at himself with garbage-like eyes. Yamano Nagari cried bitterly in his heart. But when he received his distressed look, Ito Ryo and Takada Sagawa coincidentally averted their gaze. Mainly because they don't know, didn't they get caught up in the past? Is this still a question? Apart from the effect of the move, isn't there only a reason for the characteristics left? Yuan painfully said, if you don't understand the opponent's characteristics and attack recklessly, it's not like the enemy hiding a wooden warehouse and coming to fight you. If you don't even want to think about it, then swing your fist. Isn't that all? My Sun Ibu feature is synchronous, and its effect is that when an enemy Pokémon causes burns, paralysis, or poisoning to oneself during a battle, one can transmit abnormal states to the opponent. I see, no wonder the king of Chuanshan was poisoned, as Shanai Changli remembered. I don't know how the store manager remembered so many features. Yuan looked at the three people in front of him brushing through their notebooks and remembered. Don't you know that Sun Ibu has synchronous characteristics? The three of them stiffened and were caught by the store manager. You three go back and copy the synchronization feature effect 50 times. Idong, you lead by example and carefully check. As a Pokémon coach, you have such a shallow understanding of Pokémon. It's like waiting to starve to death, like not knowing how to eat with your hands. Yes. Store manager. The three of them felt bitter in their hearts. Although the store manager did not deduct their salary, punishing plagiarism was also the most difficult task for them. However, in comparison, Nagari Yamano's mind is much more balanced, and having someone to accompany him is not a disadvantage. Ito Ryo and Takata Sagawa. Damn it. When Yuan returned to the first floor, the public television began broadcasting news, and customers gradually entered the store. The staff inside the store were all in working condition. The store manager was just about to come find you, and this one is the father and son of Mitsuda who made an appointment to select the initial Pokémon. Seeing Jihara walking over, Naomi Komatsu stepped forward and said, the information has been confirmed and meets the selection criteria. Although the free Pokémon you receive are very average, if you really make a purchase, it will cost tens of thousands. In order to prevent anyone from claiming multiple times for personal gain, each recipient will confirm their real name information and record their claim data. Hello, Mr. Mita, I'm Yuan, the manager of this store. Let's go to a separate room to talk about collecting Pokémon. Mr. Mita looks very simple and honest, and his son also shyly hides behind his father and secretly extends his head to observe. Hello, store manager, the matter with Pokémon is troublesome. The two of them were polite and led by Naomi Komatsu to a dedicated room where there was a huge transparent cabinet. The cabinets are filled with red and white Pokémon balls, which are the initial Pokémon that the store can choose from. Naomi Komatsu submitted a document to Mr. Mita. This is our store's Pokémon catalog. The front is for free selection, while the back needs to fill in the price difference. The corresponding prices have been marked, and you can refer to them yourself. The father and son of Mitsuda looked at this document page by page, with pictures and basic information of Pokémon attached. Along the way, except for asking a few questions to be answered by Yuan, Mr. Mita was silently flipping through them. His son, upon seeing the Pokémon to be selected, began to chatter about something. Perhaps I saw that the price was too expensive. After all, if I wanted to buy one from the cheapest three companies, I would have to pay over 1,000,000 yuan in price difference, which made Yuan exclaim outrageously. Looking at Mr. Mita, he should also be an ordinary office worker, but in Pokémon, he doesn't have many choices. Mr. Store Manager, please give me this one. After a long time, Mr. Mitsuda and his son finally selected the first Pokémon. Aogu Yen, she has always been a very good Pokémon, Yuan said sincerely after looking at it. In the anime, Xiaoji's Proud Swallow left a deep impression on him, which made Yuan's liking for Proud Swallow soar all the way. The price is also quite suitable, only a price difference of 30,000 yen needs to be added. Chapter 5. News of Qinjiu. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Let him think, the Proud Swallow was placed in the third cabinet in the second row. Yuan took out the key and opened the cabinet door containing the Proud Swallow elf ball to take it out. Come out, Proud Swallow. Proud Bone Swallow, Level. Level 3 Properties. General, Flying Gender. Female Characteristic. Perseverance Basic Moves. Pecking and Barking Genetic Move. None Teach Moves. None. Sure enough, these Pokémon have average qualifications. Yuan glanced at the data and thought to himself. Spa Aoguyen flew out, circled around the room, and obediently stopped on Yuan's shoulder. Aoguyen, from now on, this child will be your trainer. Yuan picked up the Proud Swallow and handed it to the child in Mita's hand. From now on, the Proud Swallow will be your companion, take good care of it. I will definitely take good care of the Proud Swallow. Santian happily assured while holding the Proud Swallow. Unexpectedly, one day he would also be doing the same job as Dr. Oki, and Yuan's mood was a bit complicated. After seeing off the father and son of Mitsuda, the remaining reservation person arrived shortly after, but it was obvious that their family conditions were average. Without even flipping through a few pages of Pokémon information, I quickly picked out a green caterpillar and went back. Task: Help children select initial Pokémon has been completed X2, and the host will receive a reward of 10 points. The sudden system prompt sound in his mind reminded Yuan that he still had such a task. Only 10 points, far from purchasing rare items, so the host needs to have more contact with the main characters, with a high chance of triggering tasks and generous rewards. Even if you say that, I can't rush into front of Qinjiu and brush my presents now, can I? At present, there is no rush to complete the task. Yuan plans to familiarize himself with his store before proceeding. Where is the timeline now? We also need to find a time to confirm this. Thinking about something, Yuan took the elevator again and arrived at the second floor prop area. The manager of the Pokémon props area, Riko Inoue, saw the store manager and immediately stepped forward to greet him, saying, "The battle just now was really exciting, store manager. That guy from Shanghai has been very proud lately. You have started a live broadcast again. If you don't work hard every day, be careful not to deduct your salary." Yuan, who had never deducted it before, smiled helplessly. Just thinking about it, you can tell that Takata Sagawa, who was idle on the scene, did a good job. These 3 people in the training area did this kind of thing a lot. Inoue Riko followed the store manager's instructions and quickly guaranteed that she would not delay her work. She knew that as long as they didn't delay their work, the store manager would always be very indulgent towards them. The people who work as supervisors here are all old employees of the store. The store manager can confidently entrust the store to the 3 of them to manage, and they will naturally not disappoint the manager's expectations. No, mainly because the store manager gave too much. Inoue Riko swears that there is absolutely no one in the world who is more generous than her own store manager. The salaries of everyone in the store are significantly higher than those of the same position in other stores. Store staff can also enjoy a 10% discount on purchases in the store, and occasionally receive work bonuses and holiday gifts. Their supervisor also offers an additional half-price discount every year, and the cold turtle in Yi Dongyang's hand was bought by him with this benefit. However, these items purchased with staff discounts can only be used by oneself. If the store manager finds out they are being used for resale for personal gain, losing their job is a small matter, and being blacklisted by the Pokémon committee is truly doomed. Is the inventory of props in the store still sufficient? Yuan asked as he looked at the evolutionary stone in the cabinet. At present, there is no shortage of props, and I will report them as soon as they are sold out, Inoue Riko reported. To be honest, Pokémon props are still too burdensome for many people, and at a glance, the price tends to be in the millions. The skill CD purchased by Yamano Nagari was still bought with the benefits of his old employees, and he gave it a 60% discount and spent 500,000 yuan, which is really too expensive. Yuan looked at the prices of the props in his store, Fire Stone 2 million, Awakening Stone 3 million. Damn it. If it weren't for the system, let alone others. Yuan feels like he can't afford it himself. Okay, you'll be responsible for the props here. I should be very busy these days, and the store shouldn't come often. You guys just need to manage normally, so feel free to contact me if you have anything. Yuan took a look and now he has a general understanding of the prices related to Pokémon. Don't worry, leave it to us. Inoue Riko raised her hand and gestured okay. Speaking of store manager, I heard that you are going to the Pokemon committee again recently to grab it. No, what kind of Pokemon will you bring back this time? How long has it been since then? How come even the second layer knows about this? Also, just now I was talking about stealing. How can friendly communication be considered stealing? Not, how can it be considered stealing? The news from your small group is spreading quite quickly. Yuan said to Riko Inoue with a serene voice. Isn't everyone very concerned about the development of the store? Inoue Riko nervously averted her gaze, as they were all curious about what kind of Pokémon the store manager would bring this time. The store manager brought back a fireball mouse when he went before, and the cute appearance of the fireball mouse captured everyone in one go. But not long after, Fireball Mouse was bought by the son of a company owner, and everyone was sad for a long time. Since then, the store manager occasionally goes to the Pokémon committee to bring back some rare Pokémon or other rare Pokémon. Recently, the rare Pokémon in the store have been sold for almost all, and today the store manager has decided to replenish some to make everyone happy. Cough cough, store manager, I used to bring back some of the 3 imperial families. When should I bring back an Ibrahimovic to take a look? We haven't seen it yet. Inoue Riko offered to advise everyone, not that she wanted to see it herself. You're really good at picking. When you come up, the lion opens its mouth wide. Yuan's mouth twitched as he listened. I'll show you the sun, don't think about it. As a Pokémon with various evolutionary forms, Ibrahimovic's price can be said to be high. The price of Ibrahimovic here is much higher than that of the other 3 companies. Don't even think about anyone without 5 million yuan. It is indeed a pet that only wealthy people can afford. Although he mercilessly shattered the fantasies of his own employees, Yuan still promised that Riko Inoue would bring back a cute Pokémon. After Yuan had familiarized himself with the store's affairs, it was time for dinner. As soon as he left the store, he turned his head and walked in the opposite direction to the Mori detective office. He won't get any closer, firm, until he's prepared. Yuan was thinking about what to eat for lunch when his phone in his pocket suddenly shook. It's almost time for dinner. Who sent a message? He slowly took out his phone and opened his email while walking. In the afternoon, come to the research group. Qinjiu. Starting with the main storyline is too exciting, isn't it? Yuan. Pupil Earthquake JPG. Chapter 6. Preparation for meeting. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. How can we have a good lunch now? With all this pressure on my head, the one who can still leisurely choose a restaurant for lunch is definitely a warrior. Yuan, who did not reach that level, had no choice but to find the nearest convenience store, rushed in and bought a few rice and vegetable roll and a bottle of black coffee, and then returned home. Sitting on the sofa in the living room, Yuan holds rice and vegetable roll in one hand and paddles backmang in the system warehouse in the other. He is not at ease if he doesn't take a few more powerful Pokémon. Host, don't be nervous. The setting of 001 is perfect. Your identity and Qinjiu are colleagues, and there is no hostile relationship between the two of you. No, you're just a system, you don't understand. Qinjiu's thoughts are hard for most people to guess, and when he becomes suspicious, he will take care of anyone. I feel like life will be difficult in the future. Yuan thought he should have bought a pack of cigarettes at a convenience store just now, so he wanted to take a cigarette and calm down. When I used to live alone, I inevitably had pressure to drink alcohol, smoke a cigarette, and relax. I didn't expect to travel now, and the pressure is not decreasing, but rather increasing. He looked at Bakmeng in his warehouse while eating rice and vegetable roll. He should consider many aspects. In addition to strong strength, there should be no lack of assistance. It's impossible to make real wine, you can only make a bottle of mixed water wine like this. Finally, after he swallowed the last mouthful of rice and vegetable roll, Bakmeng decided to bring with him. Hiding the 6 carefully selected Pok É Mon balls inside his clothes gave Yuan a sense of security. Taking advantage of the fact that it was still early, Yuan searched online for information about Pok É Mon, and from his current perspective, his understanding of Pok É Mon is also one of the trumps in the future. The evolution of the big-nosed bat has become a mystery, and Pok É Mon researchers have yet to unravel its secrets. Surprisingly, the mysterious Pok É Mon were able to lead a pack of stunned beasts. What is this? What is this all about? Yuan frowned at the content that popped up on the search interface, but he still clicked on the first title to enter. The content inside is about some people's big-mouthed bats, and they have put in a lot of effort to make it evolve. And for another group of people, the big-nosed bat suddenly evolved without doing anything special one day. This strange phenomenon has attracted the attention of many people and also attracted the attention of the Pok É Mon committee. In order to search for the conditions necessary for the evolution of the big-nosed bat into the forked bat, Pokemon researchers specifically cultivated the big-nosed bat in the Research Institute. However, none of the bat species specially cultivated by researchers have completed evolution, and they have given the bat the best treatment and meticulous cultivation methods. In the end, they concluded that the big-billed bat did not evolve through enhanced strength as a Pok É Mon, and this conclusion led to the failure of their research. The failure of this study has attracted the attention of many people, and more people are investing in research, but to this day, there is no result. The evolutionary conditions of the big-nosed bat are still a mystery in people's minds. Yuan specifically found the reports written by the researchers, and looked at the rigorous training schedule on them. Every day, the life of the big-nosed bat was planned as strictly as military training, which is strange if it can evolve. You should know that the most important condition for the evolution of the big-nosed bat is intimacy. Like the Sun IB, only when the intimacy between the big-billed bat and the trainer reaches 220 can it evolve. The cultivation plan developed by these researchers even had a pitiful lack of interaction time, and it was strange that the big-nosed bat could evolve. Yuan couldn't help but shake his head repeatedly. However, as a Pok É Mon researcher, should be able to write a report and submit it, and maybe even receive some bonuses. Thinking this way, Yuan clicked on the following webpage about the dumb beast group. As soon as I opened a blurry picture, I could see the dumbfounded beasts surrounded by a circle, with a Pok É Mon standing on both feet leading the group of dumbfounded beasts. Isn't this the dumb king? Although the picture was blurry and did not capture the appearance of Pok É Mon, Yuan could recognize it just by looking at the back. With a snail shell on top of his head, standing on both feet, and pink hair of the same color as the dumb beast, isn't this the dumb king? Continuing down, this photo was taken at the famous Pok É Mon Reserve in Nagano. In order to provide a better life for Pok É Mon, many regions have divided the natural areas that have not been constructed, forming blocks of Pok É Mon conservation areas. Among them, the Pokemon Nature Reserve in Nagano Prefecture is the most famous. The area is surrounded by mountains and trees, making it a perfect place for tourism and Pokemon to live. This picture depicts the scene of the dumb king leading the dumb beast group to leave their original place of residence and move to a new one. At that time, a serious natural disaster occurred in the habitat of the dumb beasts, causing the lakes where they lived to decrease. The dumb beasts were at a loss, and in panic, some even crawled out of the protected area and walked to nearby roads and even residential courtyards. The photographers are trainers sent to maintain order, responsible for driving the dull beasts back to the protected area. But the area of the lake has decreased, the water level has dropped, and the dull beasts that have been driven back can only lie powerless on the shore. It is said that at that time, the upper echelons had already planned to capture some silly beasts and send them to various Pokémon committees to give people the initial Pokémon. Before the order could be issued, suddenly the sky darkened, and black clouds poured down with raindrops as big as soybeans. In the stormy weather, the photographer only came to take such a picture of his back, and then went to see the dumb beasts have all entered the reserve. The mysterious treasure Kameng that led the dumb beasts has never been seen again. At the bottom of the page, the latest news was attached. After consulting numerous materials, the Pokémon Committee finally saw the record of this Pokémon in an ancient book, and another evolutionary type of the Dumb King, the Dumb Beast, was naturally known. It goes without saying that the evolution of the Dumb King is still a mystery. Understood, I have another report to write in the future. Yuan didn't look further, otherwise there would be more reports to write. After reading these two reports, Yuan also has a similar understanding of the Pokémon cognition in this world. Knowledge is power, and the Pokémon knowledge in his mind is also one of his golden fingers. Turning off the computer, Yuan decided to meet with Qinjiu as soon as possible. If it was too late, he wondered if Qinjiu would sanction him on the spot on the grounds that the organization did not need to be late for waste. Qinjiu bosses are good everywhere, they just love to kill their own people. I don't seem to be drinking real alcohol, so it's okay. I am a young and talented person, and although I cannot become a red square now, it is impossible to become a black square. I can only operate behind closed doors and wait for the distillery to wash it white as soon as it's poured out, I'm sure. Chapter 7. Arriving at the destination. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. And Shizuru is wiping the Pokémon ball in his hand, always willing to maintain his equipment to the best condition. If it weren't here and there wasn't that annoying ghost across the street, he would have been happier doing this maintenance work. The opposite Shuichi Akai, who should be called Zhu Xingda now, is also checking his sniper/sniper silos one by one so that they can be used at any time this afternoon. Thinking of the news just sent by Jin, Yasuto decided to temporarily endure the bad emotions that arose from being in the same room as this guy. 3 people received the news that they were going to see someone in the afternoon, who may be an important person. Perhaps it could allow them to have a deeper understanding of the organization, as Ensure looked at the smooth metal surface of the Pokémon ball and couldn't help but think. Shuichi Akai carefully adjusted his Aikikura to ensure that everything was in the best condition. After that, he put the weapon into the guitar bag used to hide it. As expected, he successfully infiltrated the black organization and gained the appreciation of Qinjiu. However, in just 1 year, he has already obtained his codename Rai, and the next step is simply to continue showcasing his value, and then further prepare himself in the organization to uncover this darkness. However, the organization also arranged 2 other partners for him, which was unexpected for Shuichi Akai. With his mind wandering, Shuichi Akai subconsciously picked up the cigarette in front of him. Rai, smoke outside and don't make the room a mess. Okay, this voice is my difficult roommate. Shuichi Akai just touched his hand on the cigarette box, but then he took out one and put it into his mouth. You guy. Seeing the guy in front of her still going his own way, Ensure couldn't help but laugh angrily. Indeed, only a fight can make you understand. Looking at Yasuto, who sneers in front of him, Shuichi Akai always has a big head feeling. He doesn't remember when he provoked the other party. Can't you hold it in your hand without ignition, bourbon? Shuichi Akai said in silence. Upon hearing his explanation, Ensure too became even more angry and said, "You're really looking for trouble." In this regard, Shuichi Akai also wanted to say that he had no malice, but now he felt that whatever he said would be charged with provocation by the other party. Helpless, he had no choice but to remain silent. The curry is ready. Zhufu Jingguang walked out of the restaurant carrying the prepared curry and looked at the living room 2 people in confusion. Are you playing the game of wooden figures? At this time, Yasuhito was glaring at the opposite person, but Shuichi Akai did not know how to react, so he could only look at the other person silently, as if there were sparks at the intersection of their eyes. Upon hearing the voice of her own young tamer, Yasuto was the first to exclaim discontentedly, "It's impossible to think about it, Scotland. I'll never be friends with this guy in my life. This kind of guy will eventually catch him," Unsure thought to himself. Shuichi Akai was relieved to see Yasuto finally shift his attention. He was glad that there were 3 people to organize and arrange team cooperation. Otherwise, he didn't know how they would end up. "I think so." Jufu Jingguang placed the curry in front of the 2 of them. "Let's eat first. There is still a task in the afternoon. If there is anything else, you can continue after the task is over. Why do you still have to do it for that guy? Let him starve to death." Unsure too looked at the delicious curry in front of the 2 and glared at each other fiercely. "Thank you." Looking at the curry in front of her, Shuichi Akai politely thanked her. "You're welcome. Everyone needs to take action together in the afternoon," Jufu Jingguang said, shifting his gaze to his hand holding a cigarette. With a soft hand and a short mouth, Shuichi Akai obediently put the unlit cigarette back into the cigarette box under the gaze of various sceneries. The 3 of them spent a wonderful lunch time in a harmonious atmosphere. Yuan had already arrived at his destination early, and with the help of the organizational identity card provided by the system, he was able to travel all the way to the depths of the base. The Pok É Mon research group of the organization is located underground, and all underground structures are constructed using special materials. There is a surveillance camera flashing red light at intervals in the middle. The seemingly white walls around can actually withstand even Pok É Mon moves. Although not so hard as to be unscathed, if someone wants to escape or attack, it will take some time to rely on the power of Pok É Mon. Undoubtedly a distillery, the financial resources of the wealthy Wumerlienya are truly beyond our control. After passing through a long corridor, Yuan arrived at the door of the research group office. With a beep, the identity card was successfully verified and the door in front of me automatically opened. A burst of noise came out, and dozens of people were busy in a huge room. At a glance, Yuan removed everyone's computer desks and saw piles of various documents. Some abandoned documents are even thrown directly on the ground, and researchers wearing white coats run over, carrying paper documents floating around the house. Looking at the documents all over the room, Yuan couldn't help but feel a sudden pain in his head, recalling the fear of being dominated by his graduation thesis. It's already this time. Where's the information? The data from last month hasn't been sorted out yet. Even in the noisy environment of everyone, it couldn't conceal the angry scolding. The first person in charge of the research group, Masato Oda, is now very angry. According to theory, the data that should be submitted on the first day of the month has not been collected yet. Although this data has not been required to be submitted yet, the work efficiency here is so slow that it may not necessarily lead to trouble one day. The 2 people who were scolded apologized repeatedly, and Masato Oda hated the iron for not turning into steel. Today is the final deadline. Even if you don't sleep or eat today, you still have to hand it in. After resolving this incident, Masato Oda turned his head and saw Jihara standing at the door, which startled him greatly. He quickly ran over and respectfully said, "Leader, are you here today to give orders?" Watching the person in front of me instinctively bend down, and the momentary change in respectful attitude, are all signs of humility towards my superiors. I feel like I'm quite important, Yuan thought calmly. "It's okay, you're working normally," said Yuan Qingpiao, who didn't want to work. "Yes." And Masato Oda also breathed a sigh of relief, grateful that the team leader did not investigate the matter just now. Just as he was about to withdraw and continue his work, Yuan suddenly stopped him and said, "By the way, has Jin just arrived?" I said he came to study the group, but I didn't see anyone else with the Qin wine. As for Lord Qin and Lord Qin, I haven't been here recently. Just now, Masato Oda, who was still quite natural, suddenly broke out in a cold sweat and began to stutter when speaking. Isn't it? Just mentioning the name of Qinjiu and getting scared like this. Yuan looked strangely at the person in front of him with a terrible expression that was instantly covered in sweat, and the name of the Jin was terrifying. All right, I understand. Are you busy? Yuan waved his hand and asked him to continue working. Masato Oda bowed and quickly withdrew, wiping away his cold sweat. Look at how scared it is. Chapter 8. Pok É Mon Appears. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. The Jin hasn't even arrived yet, thanks to him coming so early. Is it reasonable that there is no specific time written on this message? Yuan entered his office through this work area. The sound insulation in the team leader's office is excellent, and the noise outside disappears completely when the door is closed. Not only the team leader's office, but also when the door to the research room had not yet been opened, Yuan did not hear any noise. The rooms here should be made of soundproofing materials. He looked at the office and the most eye-catching thing was a huge bookshelf occupying the entire wall, which looked like all kinds of documents except for books. Yuan couldn't help but stare blankly, as he no longer wanted to see documents and other things in his life. Then there is an office desk, still piled with files, and a computer buried in the middle. In order to familiarize himself with the environment, Yuan sat in his seat and casually picked up a document to read. Ghost Gem Application License. He looked carefully and realized that the strength of Pok É Mon cultivated by the organization was not up to standard. His subordinates applied for props to provide some external support to Pok É Mon. In the game, when Pok É Mon carries ghost gems, the power of ghost-style ultimate moves can be increased once. Now that Pok É Mon carries it, they can absorb the power from the gems for their own use, and gems that have lost their power will also become ordinary stones. So it seems like a permanent item has become a disposable item. But the power absorbed by Pok É Mon will also be greatly improved, and turning them into disposable items is not a pity. It's just too expensive. Guan tisk tisk tsk tongue, each gem with various attributes is around 500,000 yuan. Evolutionary stones are not to mention, cultivating Pok É Mon is really a burning business. Yuan sighed and waved his hand to sign the application form. Approval. What are the props and resources to apply for? He approves them all without even looking at them, and the money from the distillery is not wasted. Spending the money from the distillery would be a pleasure after some effort. Yuan finally approved the application forms for various resources on the table. He also looked at some remaining documents, which were the various data for improving the strength of the brewery Pokemon. It seems that they need to be written into a report and submitted. Yuan threw away his pen and lay comfortably on the soft office chair. That's all for today's work. Work is impossible. The only way to make a living is to earn a salary from a distillery like this. But before he could relax for a few minutes, someone rang the doorbell in the office. The door of this office can only be opened from the inside, and only people with the same level or higher as his ID card permission can swipe open it outside. And because the sound insulation is too good, doorbells have been installed in the room instead of knocking. Now, Yuan only needs to press the unlock button on the table to allow outsiders to enter. It's too high. Tech. Yuan, who sat down in 1 second, pressed the unlock button on the table, and someone came in at the door in response. The person who came is still Masato Oda, but his condition seems to have worsened. Leader, Lord Qinjiu just received a message saying he's waiting for you in the training area, said Masato Oda calmly. No wonder his face turned pale. It turned out that he was frightened when he received news of the Qin wine. I'll go now. Yuan didn't hesitate to get up and left. He was also ready for what he needed to prepare, so he just went ahead and left recklessly. Unsure 2 and 3 others looked at the battlefield, but they still didn't understand why Qinjiu had to wait here. Is it about having them confront that person to test their strength? Unsure's thoughts were spinning rapidly. Shuichi Akai and Zhufu Jingguang nearby also secretly speculated about the purpose of the trip in their hearts, and their meditation seemed very solemn. The Qin wine that caused this scene was too lazy to care about what the three of them were thinking. He touched the fiery lion next to him, almost as tall as himself, unsure of what he was thinking. The sound of unlocking from the door broke the silence of the four people. "Here we go," and Shitu heard Qinjiu say. "Who's here? Is he waiting for someone to come?" Unsure looked through at Qinjiu and realized that his words were not meant for them, but for his own fiery lion. A bizarre idea formed in her mind, and Anshido almost couldn't control her expression. In just a few seconds when the door opened, there was no time for him to react, but the Jin had already begun to move. "Spray flames." Qinjiu gave the command with a grim smile. "Shao." Amidst the shocked expressions of the three, the fiery lion roared and sent a jet of flames straight towards the door. The scorching flames hit the person who didn't see clearly, and the high temperature scorched the area around the door. Just the heat wave generated by the explosion hit Qingtong's body, causing him to feel a sharp pain. This kind of sneak attack doesn't have time to respond to countermeasures. Can even one's own people be mercilessly abandoned at will? How could such a wicked person exist? Even after joining the organization and seeing through the darkness, the person in front of me named Qinjiu can always do things that make Shizuru unable to control himself. This kind of flame must have left no bones when it hits that person. If you want us to see your special hobby, I don't think anyone here has time to waste here. Shuichi Akai, who was also stimulated, took the lead in talking to Qin and Wine. Zhufu Jingguang, whose face was even worse on the side, reluctantly adjusted his state, but before he could meet his expectations, Qinjiu issued another command. "Flame teeth." Qinjiu was too lazy to give them a glance and continued to give orders to the fire lion. Under the amazed gazes of the crowd, the fiery lion leaped high, with flames swirling around its mouth, and suddenly pounced forward. But before it could take a few steps forward, a faint pink fluorescence flickered around it, imprisoning it in place. "Jia, Jia Shao." Still maintaining a jumping motion, the fiery lion, forced to stop in the air, struggled with its limbs, and the flames entwined in its mouth dissipated. "It's all said not to attack suddenly, it's very bad for the heart, Qinjiu." Suddenly, a helpless voice interrupted the scene. "Let go of the flame lion, Gung-Gue." The flames in front gradually dissipated, revealing the figure of the incoming person. A black-haired boy wearing a white coat appeared in front of everyone, with a gung ghost floating in mid-air beside him. The person who came was Yuan, and beneath his calm expression, his heart was pounding. Anyone who opens the door and shoots a flame at their face will be startled. Okay, fortunately, he cleverly took Gung-Gue with him and let it hide in his own shadow, otherwise it would really be cool. Gung-Gue, Flash, Level 100 Attribute. Ghost, Poison Gender. Male Feature. Cursed Body Basic Moves. Hypnosis, Black Eyes, Song of Destruction, Tongue Licking, Mirror Attribute, Strange Light, Shadow Fist, Tooth for Tooth, Resentment, Curse, Misfortune Never Comes Alone, Night Shadow, Assault, Wave of Evil, Shadow Ball, Same Destiny, Dream Eating Genetic Move. Nun Teaching Moves. Spiritual Empowerment, Frozen Wind, Challenge, Hold, Mud Bomb. This Gung Ghost is really Yuan's beloved. He worked tirelessly day and night for a week to flash a flash. Actually, at the beginning, Yuan didn't have such a strong obsession with Flash. But since seeing the shining ghost of Mega's evolution, Yuan was immediately captured by its handsome appearance. This is a white-skinned ghost. How about being n times more handsome? Although it is difficult to recognize Gung Ghost and Flash Gung Ghost in their normal state without comparison. But this is not a problem. What is needed is the stunning feeling that Mega has brought after evolution. But there may not be any chance for Mega to evolve here in this world. The highest level Pokémon that Yuan has seen so far is the Pokémon of the Jin in front of him. Not that he said, everyone present, Pok É Mon, is trash. D. Chapter 9. First meeting with the Whiskey Group. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Ko Xue, upon hearing Ji Yuan's command, Gung Gue obediently removed the spiritual obsession from the flame lion's body. The fire lion, which had regained its freedom, landed steadily on the ground and turned back to Qinjiu's side. The chaotic scene calmed down, and only then did Ji Yuan have the opportunity to see clearly the data panel of this fiery lion. Fire lion level. 56 properties. Fire, general gender. Male characteristic. Struggle spirit basic moves. Impact, stare, spark, self-motivation, destruction deadlight, headhammer, battle roar, crash, flame teeth, brute, echo, jet flame, bite, giant, burnout genetic move. Flash charge teach moves. Roar loudly, crazy volt, evil wave undoubtedly, it is the Pok É Mon of Yuan. This qualification is about to catch up with the Pok É Mon of this cheating person. I have also learned 3 moves, and even 1 inherited move. It's just that the level has been raised a bit, but considering that this is mainly based on the world of Ko Xue and supplemented by the world of Pok É Mon, Ji Yuan can also understand. However, the Fire Lion is still one of the few Pok É Mon of kings. It is unknown whether this indicates that the status of Qinjiu in the organization is unshakable. A typical fiery lion should have a body size of about 1.5 meters, and this one in front of me is almost as tall as a jin. It is known that Qinjiu is 1.89 meters tall, and even with its large mane, its body size is 1 circle larger than that of an ordinary person. If placed within the tribe, with such a majestic physique and dense flame mane on its chest, this fiery lion would definitely have no problem becoming a leader. Do you want to see how many gates you destroyed this month? They all said they were going to fight on the field, and every once in a while, this one would scare off several strands of hair, Ji Yuan complained. Then he saw clearly that there were 3 people standing next to Qinjiu, who looked at him with complex expressions. Lying trough. Isn't this the Whiskey Group? Ji Yuan couldn't help but have an earthquake in his pupils. Is the timeline for his arrival a bit early? Quietly retracting his gaze, he calmed down the excitement in his heart. The jinn was still here, but it was about to end. I don't have any spare time to remember these useless things. It's just a broken door, and if it's broken, it's just a trade. Qinjiu casually lit a cigarette and said, "Can I have one?" Without waiting for Ji Yuan's answer, Qinjiu threw the box of cigarettes directly. Is this legendary brand Jaloise's something every Conan fan wants to try? Ji Yuan looked at the cigarette in his hand and was crazily tempted. In the end, Ji Yuan still couldn't resist the temptation and pulled out a stick between his fingers, then he naturally stuffed the rest into his pocket. There's no reason to go back when you're in your own hands. Didn't you even tacitly agree to the Qin wine? Speaking of which, the identity arranged for him by the system feels very different from that of Qinjiu. He imagined that he had no negative emotions when facing Qinjiu. Even without any sense of tension, it was like talking to a very familiar person, and Ji Yuan liked the system in his heart. That. Suddenly, a familiar voice pulled Ji Yuan's thoughts back. It was Shuichi Akai who made the noise. He didn't know the identity of the person in front of him, but from the current attitude of Qinjiu towards this person, he should at least be a coder. Anyway, it's not a problem to get closer to this person. If you don't mind, I have a fire here, please use it. The only people present were Qinjiu and him smoking, but Qinjiu didn't seem to have the intention of making fire for this person. So he could just pass a fire and change the current atmosphere. Ji Yuan watched Shuichi Akai holding a lighter as if he wanted to light his cigarette. No, I can't bear it even if you're willing to order it. Ji Yuan's palms were sweating profusely. If you ask Ji Yuan which character is the male god of his childhood, his answer is definitely Shuichi Akai. As an early and impressive character portrayed by Conan, he left an unforgettable impression in Ji Yuan's heart to this day. Even though he was still too young to understand the plan of Akai and Ku Dao at that time, he really thought that Shuichi Akai was dead in the red and black chapters, for which he was sad for a long time. No need, I don't like smoking indoors. When Ji Yuan saw Shuichi Akai's action stiff, the scene seemed awkward. Puff and don't laugh at the black skin behind it, it's about you lowering the valley to zero. It's me who overstepped it. Shuichi Akai calmly took back the lighter. No wonder Qin and Yuan only gave him cigarettes instead of fire. The relationship between the two people is even better than expected, according to Shuichi Akai. It seems that it still made the childhood male god lose face, and a hint of guilt rose in Ji Yuan's heart. But Ji Yuan really doesn't like smoking indoors. In poorly ventilated environments, the smell of smoke easily lingers on his clothes, giving him a feeling of dirtying them. The strange obsession with cleanliness has increased. JPG, are these three new codename members? Ji Yuan looked at Qinjiu and asked. Well, the codename I just obtained recently, Qinjiu replied, although I'm a newcomer, my strength is still impressive. Ji Yuan nodded with a serious nod, but his mind was calculating the timeline. It's been so long, could you at least introduce us to Qin Yuan? The sound came from Zhufu Jingguang, who had recovered from the impact just now and is now back in working mode. Qinjiu glanced at him and said, this guy is the leader of the Pok É Mon research group. Although he is not from the action group, even in terms of Pok É Mon strength, I will be inferior. Don't underestimate him. And his code name is Armagnac. Armagnac, the earliest soju in France and even Europe, is also a strong liquor with an alcohol content of over 40 degrees. Although he looks young, he is also a code member in the match just now when Jin attacked Armagnac. He clearly suppressed Jin in the end. From this perspective alone, the three of them dare not underestimate him. Haha, I'm just a civilian, I'm just praising you, Ji Yuan said humbly. Humph, according to convention, give them rewards with code names, you can handle it yourself, Qinjiu snorted coldly. The three of them will be placed under your command for now, and you can freely control them when there are no tasks. What should I draw? What are you doing under his command? Ji Yuan's head was full of question marks. Did you follow him to feed Pok É Mon? Is it too wasteful to assign code members to me? Ji Yuan said confidently. It doesn't matter, they happen to be able to help you. Ji Yuan, who had originally wanted to hesitate, suddenly remembered the unfinished report in the office. Sure, Ji Yuan said firmly, I happen to be short of manpower here. Speaking of which, doesn't he have a legitimate reason to engage with the red side? It's like killing two birds with one arrow. That's settled, you'll take care of the rest. After giving these orders, Qinjiu left first. How do you feel like Qinjiu threw the trouble on him? Ji Yuan was unsure. The person who caused the greatest pressure on everyone left, but the atmosphere on the field remained suppressed. Let's get to the point. Ji Yuan's mouth curved slightly, Scotland. Bourbon and rye. His dark brown eyes carried a smile, and the delicate young man seemed to be harmless to humans and animals. But suddenly the three people who were called the code stood up with their hair on their heads, and their level of vigilance towards him increased all the way. What does it mean that you pretended not to know us just now, even though you knew us? And Shirtu, who was instantly alert, asked. There it is. In the black organization's aggressive transparency. Ji Yuan looked at him, how could he feel so dark? Isn't that the home ground of Qinjiu? Of course, he needs to introduce it. But after all, I am a civilian staff member, and your information has already been delivered to me by your subordinates. In fact, it's not. But he didn't say anything nonsense either. The organization has a benefit for new members who receive code names. They can apply for a new Pok É Mon from the research team leader, Ji Yuan, to increase their combat power. If you don't choose Pok É Mon, you can also exchange it for material distribution, which is a pretty good benefit. Otherwise, many people still want to be members of the contemporary account, with more money, high status, and good benefits. Although Qinjiu will make his subordinates work overtime day and night, and be on call, he may even suspect that his subordinates are disdainful superiors who are undercover agents. But he gave too much. Shocking sound, now Yuan has decided to carry his private goods, and he has taken over the Red Square Pok É Mon resources. The money from the distillery is not worth it. Only the world where the distillery was injured has been completed, perfectly. Chapter 10. Claim Points. You are listening at novelfull.audio. You should already know about the benefits of code members when you receive the code. If you decide now, you can let me know directly. Yuan rubbed his hands in anticipation and showed him what kind of Pok É Mon the whiskey group would choose. But it seems that the three of them have not decided yet. After all, cultivating a Pok É Mon is not an easy task, and they are all undercover agents. I need some more time to think about this matter, said Zhufu Jingguan calmly after reflection. Me too, this is not a small matter. I need time to gather enough intelligence before making a decision, said Enshirtu. In the end, Shuichi Akai naturally followed the first two's wishes and decided after evading them. It can be seen that the view of Zhufu and Kengo should be to go back to discuss, and Shuichi Akai also has his own considerations. Although there were some regrets, Yuan still respected the decision of the three of them. Of course, we can contact you in 3 days, Yuan said with a smile. As for the vigilance of the whiskey trio towards him, Yuan naturally did not know. I'm so tired. Yuan sighed as soon as he got home and collapsed in bed. Although he can interact with the main characters online, he always feels physically and mentally exhausted from work. The host is right to think so. You can also treat it as if you just changed places to work now. 001, Daily Comfort Road. That's right, and I heard that the distillery's salary is very high. It seems like it's not a loss. Remembering that Enshirtu and Belmerd claimed the reimbursement under the title of mission, in fact, public food and drink were available. Yuan was very bright, and the sisters' flower of the distillery would really enjoy it. Got it, that's all for the sake of the liquor factory. Not only that, the host can also exchange points for benefits in the system store. Today's task has been completed, come and take a look. Speaking of which, he has had contact with many key characters today, and I don't know how many points will be given for the mission. Thinking about Yuan opening the taskbar, the first task that came into his eyes was, resisting the quiet wine raid, completed. Damn it, I had already clicked on the mission before seeing Qin wine. Seeing this mission, Yuan felt that the shock he received today was not worth it. But when it comes to fighting against Qinjiu, the rewards should be quite generous, right? Yuan directly clicked to receive task rewards. The task, resisting the assault of Qin wine, has been completed, and the host will receive a reward of 1,500 points. This task reward is really good. With 1,500 points, you can buy 15 fire stones. The main task was indeed extraordinary, and Yuan ignited it. With more of these tasks, he immediately reached the pinnacle of his life. Continuing to scroll down, there were still quite a few tasks completed, so he directly clicked on the option to claim all of them. Task X1 has been completed, and the host will receive a reward of 100 points for completing the civil work of the research team leader. The task Dialogue with Qin wine has been completed, and the host will receive a reward of 1,000 points. The task Dialogue with Whiskey Group has been completed, and the host will receive a reward of 1,000 points. The prompt sounds for receiving rewards echoed one after another, and Yuan felt very happy listening to the sound of wealth and prosperity. After receiving all the task rewards, he called up his information board to check. Name: Yuan, male, points 4,890. Identity: Pok É Mon expert / Heaven Pok É Mon store manager / Hidden identity: Leader of the black organization Pok É Mon Research Group, code name Armagnac. Just a little contact with the main character and the points are almost over 5,000, and now most regular items can be exchanged. System, where are the life-saving items that you said the store can exchange for? Yuan searched the store for a while but couldn't find the item he wanted for a long time. Due to the high cost of these props, please check the last page of the store for the host. I see. Upon hearing this, Yuan stopped flipping page by page and directly pressed the button at the end of the page. Rare prop. Divine Guardian, an accessory, randomly shaped, bestowed with the power of protection by the deity. This item can provide the wearer with a chance to resist a fatal attack, and can withstand attack damage including physical and special attacks. P.S. This item is an automatic disposable item, please cherish and use it. Required points. 50,000 50,000. Counting a few zeros, Yuan was shocked, so expensive. But one thing to say is that the effect of this prop is really good, and he is very tempted. Life-saving props, no matter how expensive they are, it seems that in the future, there will be more tasks to be completed, and Yuan will prioritize earning points. In order to live a comfortable life in the world of science and technology, I have to first lead a bushy lifestyle. So it seems that there's no need to look at the props in front, anyway, I can't afford them now. Yuan closed the system store and instead opened the taskbar to see if there were any unfinished tasks. Taskbar, incomplete 6, There really is. He clicked on the details and looked at them. There is still one unfinished task for the research team leader, which should be that he did not submit the report. Just find the whiskey team to write one in a few days. There are 3 tasks in a row, which reward 1,000 points. Issuing new employee benefits for Scottish whiskey, issuing new employee benefits for bourbon whiskey, and issuing new employee benefits for rye whiskey. These 3 tasks are also set aside for 2 days before completing. There are still the last 2 tasks, becoming a Pok É Mon Research Master, incomplete, rewards 5,000 points for the task. System, how can I become a Pok É Mon Research Master? This 5,000 point season is truly envious. The host is now an expert in Pok É Mon research. Just write another report about Pok É Mon and submit it to the Pok É Mon committee, such as the evolution of the Dumb King. It seems that writing a report is also on the agenda, and this 5,000 point season is bound to win. There is still one last task left, and Yuan will continue to move down. The task is helping Ko Xue's dumb beast evolve into a dumb king. Yuan couldn't help but think. Task, helping Ko Xue's dumb beast evolve into a dumb king, incomplete, task rewards 5,000 points. Good guy, heavyweight characters have appeared. As the intellectual ceiling of the entire drama and with a network of friends both domestically and internationally, Yosuke Kudo is undoubtedly a top-notch figure in every aspect. Having a good relationship with Yuzua Kudo is equivalent to getting close to the protagonist's thigh. Although Kudo Shinichi's Grim Reaper physique is troublesome, the protagonist's halo is placed there, and Jihara still decides to bow down to life. It seems that the report on the evolution of the Dumb Beast and the Dumb King should be put on the agenda as soon as possible. As we all know, only when you become the main role can you have the chance to turn over. There is no hope to be a supporting role, clenching a fist.